Hello from Growing Boulder headquarters, GBHQ, but today I think it's Club GB. I'm Mark Middleton. He's Bill Schaefer. We are excited to welcome you to the second ever meeting of the Bold Poet Society.
It sounds really classy, doesn't it? The Bold Poet Society, and it has been, because when we had our first meeting not very long ago, we announced a very interesting opportunity, an online poetry contest, and we are happy to tell you that we had some pretty good responses.
Yeah, we had lots of great entries, and it was tough, but with the help of two amazing judges, we do have our winners, and you will meet them and hear their amazing work in just a moment. All right, we created this unique online event because April is National Poetry Month, and we, along with our friends at Florida Blue Medicare, wanted to celebrate the power and the importance of creativity, and specifically what poetry of all kinds does for our lives. The mindfulness, the reflection. Poetry makes us think. It reveals truths, and it helps us understand and appreciate the world all around us. It teaches us how to live. So we put the word out and we asked you to submit original poems, and did you ever answer?
Yeah, there were two categories that we broke everything into to make it a little bit easier. One was written word, which had to be no more than 12 lines, and the other was spoken word, which could be no more than 2.5 minutes. And for both, the only requirement was that they had to include the following words: growing, Boulder, Florida, and blue. No particular order, no particular context, just growing Boulder, Florida, and blue. Those 4 words in an original poem. And there were prizes as well, weren't there, Mark?
Yeah, first place in the written category. Pretty cool, folks. The poem will appear in our Growing Boulder digital digest with a link to the winner's website. It'll also be included in a Growing Boulder Insider newsletter and shared with our nearly 1 million social media followers.
Yeah, for spoken word also, a performance of that poem itself. The first place finisher, that'll be on an episode of Growing Boulder Radio and the podcast, which is available nationally on NPR One and other major podcast platforms. And Mark, there's more. It'll also be featured in the Growing Boulder Insider newsletter, and we're going to share it on all of our social media channels. Plus, both will be forever known as the first Bold Poet Society Slam Champions. It's pretty good, isn't it? And there are also prizes in both categories for second and third place, too.
All right, if you saw the works of art that Bill and I performed live on air when we announced this contest, you know that the poetry talent that Bill and I each lack meant that we needed to find some qualified judges for such a prestigious competition. So we've got 2 of the best, 2 accomplished, highly respected poetry heavyweights to help sort things out. Sean Welcome is Poet Laureate for the City of Orlando. He's a content writer, a nationally known performance poet, and on top of all that, he's a really cool guy. We actually both performed at Pachaca in Orlando a few years ago. He founded the Diverse Word Weekly Poetry Open Mic in 2006, and he continues to lead it to this day. Sean, thanks so much for being a part of this. First of all, what did you think of our submissions?
I thought they were all phenomenal, and I appreciate Growing Boulder for even hosting this opportunity for people to express themselves with words and the spoken word poetry. So I mean, it was really challenging to have so many excellent submissions, but with the help of our other judge there, we dwindled it down, and happy to celebrate them here today.
Well, thank you for playing with us, because you give us an air of credibility that Bill and I lack. So tell us, what makes a spoken word piece stand out to you? What do you listen for? How does it have to impact you in order for you to say, bang, that's good?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of judging of poetry is it's really subjective, and you kind of build it into your own framework of what you've done, in the past. But I think what's impactful for me is, it has to touch some of the senses, right? So I, in particular, I love a lot of imagery, depth of meaning, just the overall creativity blended with the content. That's what does it for me. And there's a variety of ways that can happen. So it really is subjective. And that's why I like multiple judges for contests like this, so that we can have a consensus.
And we agreed with Sean too, Mark, because that's such a great point. That's a lot to put, that's a big burden to put on one person's shoulder. So we do have two judges for this contest, so we can get another opinion in there as well. Another judge who unfortunately wasn't able to join us today is Susan Lilly. And Susan, oh my gosh, talk about great credentials just like Sean. She was the 2009 winner of the Rita Dove Poetry Award. She was the inaugural Poet Laureate for the city of Orlando. She's an author, a poet, an interim English department chair at Trinity Preparatory School in Winter Park, Florida. And Susan has taught at Rollins College, she's taught at the University of Central Florida, and she's got an MFA from Stone Coast at the University of Southern Maine. She also brings credentials.
All right, we've got big-time coaches, we've got amazing entries, so let's get to the winners. Third place in the written poetry category goes to Mary Shaw for her poem, Ocean Cure. And Sean, would you do the honors? Would you read Mary's poem for the rest of us?
I most certainly will. So this is Ocean Cure by Mary Shaw. When blue, take yourself to the edge of Florida. Find the line, it undulates, you know, where ocean and land lap together. Wade in as far as comfort allows. Jettison the rocks in your pocket. Feel the salty foam tenderize all that is sore. Float as if tomorrow holds no fear. Growing stronger, leave bolder, now a lighter shade of blue.
Man, I love that. Well read, by the way, Sean. Jettison the rocks in your pocket. You know, he mentioned the imagery. You know, I walk around with rocks in my pockets. You know, not literally, but certainly figuratively. And the idea of jettisoning them here in Florida is great.
Yeah, and I love the ocean metaphor for the water washing and the blue and everything that added. How about you, Sean? What did you think of that?
I loved it. I mean, just, you know, we've all been through so much in 2020 and beyond, being separated, I mean, for obvious reasons. And, you know, people maybe, you know, heavy burdened, and the beach is one place where, you know, there's a form of escape there. And so just the language that she used there and the imagery and the foam of the ocean kind of washing away all of those troubles, I think it was just really fitting. It was just a clean and insightful and reflective poem that had the images that took you to that place. So I really enjoyed that. And then the title speaks to it as well, Ocean Cure, you know, so I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, an original poem written for this event. That's very cool. And we have another great one as well, Mark, the second place in the written category. The second place prize goes to Carolyn Scully for Senior World. And Sean, would you care to share Carolyn's poem with us?
Absolutely. Florida summer mornings blossom over grandparents watching youngsters play under mists of sea spray and damp skies of hazy blue, dotted with cotton balls. Tiny drops in the air cling soft to the face, shaded under umbrellas. Boulder water drops rain hard in afternoons. Eyes close in rest as thunders lull, and flashes illuminate dreams of youthful fountains where deep creases in smile lines are growing.
Man, that's not bad at all either. Mark, what'd you think of that one?
Yeah, you know, I love it. And I think maybe, and this is going to sound very naive and rightly so, you know, all of these great poets, you know, growing in Boulder, we always use those two words together. Florida and blue are together. You could not really find any of those four words in these poems unless you're looking for them. They have, you know, they knew the assignment. They integrated them really, really well. Two great poems. Mary Shaw and Carolyn Scully have earned a place on our poetry podium. Congratulations to both. But the top honor, folks, belongs to Darlin Finch Kuhn for her poem, The Visit. And here's a big surprise. Darlin joins us live from her home in Jacksonville. Darlin, congratulations. Thank you for supporting our effort to celebrate National Poetry Month. Let me ask you this. What made you enter the Bold Poets Society Slam?
I am such a fan of you two gentlemen and your show and your social media presence. And I just thought this is going to be such a great opportunity. I didn't think in my wildest dreams that I'd win it, but here we are, and I get to say hello to Sean Welcome, who I'm also a fan of, and hello to Susan Lilly out there. She actually was my teacher once upon a time when I went to Rollins. So I'm just thrilled. I'm very happy. Thank you.
Good answer. I think Bill and I are learning that, this poetry community is more robust than we understood, and that's more a statement about us than the community that you guys, not only have formed together, but continue to nurture. So thank you for that. And now, if you will, darling, would you read us your winning entry?
I'd love to. The visit. Doc sighed to check the bait trap. We caught instead an aggregation of 5 boulder manatees lolling in muddy blue water under the Florida sun on a cloudless day. We, who constantly bounce from thing to thing, stood transfixed, mesmerized by the length, the breadth, the huff and puff of their propeller-scarred sea cows and their growing calves. Here a fin, there a fluke, a whiskered snout, exhaling extravagantly with exasperation. Or joy, who could tell, and what did it matter? Our hearts rolled with them until the last light left.
You took us on a journey, darling. Thank you for that. Is that based upon an actual experience that you had?
It is, and it happened while I was thinking about what I wanted to write about for this contest. My husband Brad Kuhn and I have moved to Jacksonville to the confluence of the Trout and Ribault rivers, and we have a beautiful dock. We go out on the water. The scenery changes every day with the birds and the river life, and we just love it here. We are very happy. And it was funny because that particular evening we were both working late, and I said, I'm so tired of sitting at this desk. Let's just go out on the dock for a moment and catch the sunset. And we had no idea that the manatees were out there, and it was a large pod of them, and one was absolutely huge. I've never seen such a large manatee. And so we just stayed out until the sun went down and enjoyed them.
And we're all better for it. Thank you for that. I know Sean and Bill probably got some questions for you as well. Sean, you want to jump in?
Yeah, first of all, that was just a phenomenal piece, darling. It reminded me of just slowing down. Life can get so busy and we get in the rut of things. And it really captured that, like, let's stop and pause. And just your mention of the whiskers on the snout and all of that. I was like, it really captured a moment and a feeling. And so kudos to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I don't even know what question to really ask other than to just hear your thoughts, which was already asked, your inspiration behind it. But yeah, is there anything else you'd like to add? I guess I'll say.
I did want to mention that you'll notice that I love alliteration, like the last line is until the last light left.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to play with internal rhyme. Huff and puff, of course, is a pretty classic one, but we've got lolling in the top and rolling in the bottom. So just things like that. I like to play around with placement of words, but I thought I may have gone just a little overboard with exhaling extravagantly with exasperation. So I'm going to ask you, did you feel that was exceedingly excessive?
The difference between assonance and consonants, right?
Right.
That's nerd commentary. But
nerd jokes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, to me, it didn't take away from anything. And the way you ended the piece until the last light left, I had this image of like a boat leaving But hearing your story, it was more specific to the sunset dying out. Is that accurate? Or
Yes, it was. We have lovely sunsets just probably at about 10 o'clock. If you were looking at our view as a clock, it would be at about 10 o'clock. The sun falls behind the trees, and it's always very pretty. But I like that image as well of the boat sailing off. That's
yeah,
that's a
that's
lovely thing
why.
that we see quite a bit out here on the
Yeah,
river.
that was my original takeaway. But either way, it was just a great piece, and kudos to you for submitting that and sharing it with whoever's watching the program.
Thank you. And Sean, I think that's part of what makes poetry so impactful and so special is that um, each person who reads it or hears it brings their own experience to it.
Mhm.
And I was writing about one type of ending, and you were seeing another, and that's
Mhm.
perfectly fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Darlin, let's continue on that theme there. I'd be curious as one of the non-poets. I mean, I think of myself as so far underneath, but poetry's not a spectator sport. It's a participant activity. So go ahead and be the PR agent for poetry for just a minute. Talk about the creative engagement. Talk about there's all different ways to pass time. Why is poetry a rewarding one?
Bill, it's a wonderful question and one that I hope to spend a lifetime answering, and I'm already well on my way. I've been writing poetry since I was a small girl. And I think for me, it is what Sean mentioned earlier about just slowing down and noticing what's going on around you. And in that moment of um, awareness, if you can capture that and sort of bottle it up and deliver it to someone else, then even if they're not able to slow down right then and maybe walk on a dock and see a beautiful sunset and a manatee floating by, um, they can experience it later.
Darlin, thank you so much. You have a gift. Thank you for sharing it with all of us, and we will look forward to publishing your poem and sharing it, as far as we can. And Bill, what I like about poetry at my very limited level is to me, it's really problem solving. It's kind of Wordle on steroids, trying to figure out how you get from here to there, which is what we do when we write scripts. It's just a different kind of a thing.
It's a strategy, isn't it? I mean, I watch you do it, and I'm always impressed because you have so much fun and you take it to different levels, but it makes me want to try. And I think, the bottom line, Mark, is there's a reason that poetry has lasted through the ages. There's something inside of us all capable of creating great poetry, and it's really fun to hear it these days and to hear people express themselves with it. Growing Bolder, it's our mission to help you not view aging as a time of loss, but as an opportunity to have new experiences, to try poetry, to live with purpose, to live with possibility. And there's a group out there that feels the same way we do. It's Florida Blue Medicare, and it's why we are partners. They get it. They embrace it. More than just providing insurance, they're all about helping you live your best life. And joining us now is Florida Blue Medicare President Kathy Feeney. Kathy, tell us a little bit more about that, about doing more than just providing insurance.
Thanks, Bill, for the question. We understand the importance of community and the benefits of a creative environment at Florida Blue Medicare. And we're so supportive and encourage Floridians to stretch themselves creatively and to become part of the community that supports their talents and passions out there. And it doesn't have to be poetry. It could be painting. It could be theater. It could be dance. It can be music, writing, etc. We're committed to the whole person's health and well-being. And so we are all in when it comes to anything that promotes happy and healthy living and as we age.
And we're seeing the name really everywhere. Florida Blue is such a trusted name in health insurance, and it's great to know that you're there when we're sick, but it's empowering to know that you're there to help us keep moving forward. And Florida Blue Medicare especially has become part of the community, and really it's involved in parts of our lives. This isn't by accident.
Absolutely. Healthcare is local. It doesn't happen at the headquarters. We're involved in the communities. We are where you are, and we want to encourage and also help people live the best lives that they can, not just by getting into doctors and accessing care when needed, but also looking at, again, that whole person so that we all can enjoy life to its fullest.
And one of the ways we're doing that is by exercising our minds and our language through this poetry contest. And we have you to thank, Kathy Feeney. Thanks to you and to Florida Blue Medicare for making this event possible. Now, I hope you can stick with us because we still have much more poetry to go. Mark?
Moving on now to the other category in our first annual Bold Poet Society Poetry Slam, the spoken word. And third place goes to Debbie Milam, and here's her entry.
If Flowers Could Sing by Debbie Milam. As I sit here in Florida, it's growing warmer, not colder. And the flowers debut bolder, yellow, violet, crimson, and blue. On stage, parading their majesty as we are stilled by their beauty. Quieted by wonder, soothed by grace, I wonder if flowers could sing. If flowers could sing, would they sing a song to shout joy to the depths of our souls? If flowers could sing, would they beckon us to come closer and pause for a moment or 2 or 10? If flowers could sing, they would entice us to be still and drink in their beauty. If flowers could sing, we would hear them being dressed in a symphony of colors, colors that would take our breath away. If flowers could sing, we would be challenged not to be awestruck by their ineffable presence. Oh, how wonderful that flowers do sing.
Sean, that was a very soft, engaging delivery. You know, I'm curious about the difference between spoken word and written word in terms of judging, because what she wrote is great. As a spoken word poet, when you look at that, how much do you judge her on her performance, on her delivery, on how hard is it for you to say, well, I'm a spoken word poet, I love those words, but I would have done it differently? What did you think about that poem?
Well, I think for Poetry Slam, right, it's all relative to those that are in competition, right? And so we had some great submissions, and I loved that performance because I think the content and the way she delivered it was consistent, right? So she's talking about if flowers could sing, right? She's bringing us into this imaginative space, right? You know, she's personifying flowers and imagining what that looks like, feels like, sounds like. And I think she did a really good job. You know, the delivery should always match like what exactly it is you're talking about. And so I thought it blended well, and yeah, she did a great job.
Well, she came in first.
No,
What?
third.
She came in third?
Third.
Holy, you mean we have two that got rated higher than that?
Yeah.
Well, do you mind if I move on to see what
Please
the other
do.
one? Second place in the spoken word category goes to Dave Finnegan for Go Green After Quarantine. Let's take a look at Dave.
Let's all go green after quarantine. We know for sure it's time. Let's do our best to heal the earth, create a world sublime. COVID was good training for the crisis that's a-comin', like a loaded train at breakneck speed with all its wheels a-hummin'. So let's begin right here and now to create a greener place. Start with simple things, go step by step, and go at your own pace. It's all about growing hearts that love both blue and green, from Florida to Seattle and the country in between. Act boldly now and make a list of energy-saving chores, like sealing drafty cracks around your windows or your doors. And there's all that power that you waste by leaving cords plugged in. Just think about your household as if all that waste's a sin. How do you choose what to do first may be the easiest part. I bet there's an action you can take that hits you in the heart, like plant an indoor garden or switch to LEDs, eat less red meat, more blueberries, yellow squash, and green peas, or take shorter showers, compost every table scrap, make drinking water right at home with a filter on your tap, and you can look for an open space to plant a bush or tree or a backyard vegetable garden, and then you eat for free. Be bolder still and make your plan with saving dough in mind, or shoot the moon and spend some cash on actions that you find, like solar panels on your house, or that spiffy electric car, a reflective roof, new windows too. You're a clean green superstar. Let's all go green after quarantine. We have no time for slack. Once you do go green, I think you'll find you never can turn back. And when we all have taken steps to create a clean green scene, we'll all be glad we acted boldly and went green after quarantine.
How about Dave there bringing the passion and really putting an exclamation point after his thoughts? He makes you want to get on board the recycling train just from his energy, just from his passion. Sean, what did you like about Dave?
Yeah, I loved same exactly as what you're saying, the energy that he brought to that poem. That does require a different type of energy, right? So he's giving some social commentary, right, and doing it in a heavy rhyming style, both in internal rhyme and just throughout the poem. It was very had that like Dr. Seuss like joy to it, and which draws you in, from a listener standpoint, and allows one to really absorb the content. So that was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed listening to that, and congrats to Dave for that poem.
He was making social commentary, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, it seems like spoken word poetry lends itself quite frequently to that. I mean, I've seen Sean Welcome step up onto the soapbox and preach. It does seem like it is a really great way to deliver a message on social commentary.
Yeah, well, so I am biased towards a style called free verse, which doesn't lend itself to any particular pattern, right? So it's very similar to normal patterns of speech. So like, you're not necessarily performing right now, the two of you, but where people are listening to you, right? There's a natural cadence that you have. And so when you infuse poetry with your kind of natural cadence, it allows people to kind of be drawn in the same way they would if you were just talking and stuff. So what you're saying is 100% correct, but that was more in the style of a free verse, kind of a rhyme style, which it really does draw you in, and great for content like that.
Got it. The first thing I think that you've said incorrectly this whole time is that Bill and I are not performing right now. You got that wrong.
So we just saw Dave, and so we haven't seen the winner yet?
No, we're getting there.
Even though those two were...
Patience. We're going to get there. Two great works, as you mentioned. All hail Debbie Milam and Dave Finnegan for earning their spot on our prestigious poetry podium. Darlin would like that. She loves the alliteration. But now it's time to hear from our winner. Welcome the first grand champion in the Bold Poet Society Slam for spoken word. I give you Collie Blake.
Seasons of loss. Summer. Your smile flooded my days with Florida sunshine. Your hugs filled me with an indescribable warmth. The mere sound of your voice was like sweet vanilla ice cream to my soul. And even on those days when temperatures soared, I felt refreshed and reassured by your presence, as cool as a crisp day in fall. But little did I know, soon you would fall out of my life like leaves fall from a tree. Now there's no you, only me. Fall, also known as autumn, where I'm expected to automatically go back to normal. Normal? What does that even mean? My life hasn't been the same since you left the scene. Got me feeling blue because my life is void of you. So you're gone and I'm withdrawn, and I've put up walls allowing no one to enter. I'm broken, bitter, barren, like winter. Faced with this cold, harsh reality, lost in a storm of uncertainty, crushed by an avalanche of emotion, craving calm amidst the internal commotion, I'm as cold as ice, numb, wishing desperately that you would come, deliver me from the agony of you not being here with me. Your absence has been the ultimate devastation. I seek solace in the midst of isolation. Most days it's hard for me to get out of bed. Sometimes I wish he took me instead. I'm barely holding on to life's last string. My feet got no dance. My step got no spring. But as I blossom into the season of growing and healing, I feel raindrops of relief. Getting bolder and stronger every day as I go through my journey of loss and grief. Through my faith, friends, and family, the pain slowly loses its grip on me. And I know the hurt will never totally cease. But thoughts of you make my heart bloom with peace.
Wow, that was powerful, Kali, and a perfect example of why I love spoken word, because it gives us an opportunity to see and hear the poet interpret it, and when one does it as well as you just did, to actually feel it. And you know, that poem obviously is about loss. Is there a personal loss that inspired it that you're willing to talk about? I mean, where did that come from?
It's funny. It's I would say losses. Loss of my father, who died when I was young, but I have a handful of memories of him, and just loss of friendships. You know, sometimes through life, you know, you go your separate ways, and you know, relationships, they have an impact on us, and when that person leaves for whatever reason, it can really take a toll. So I would say that, and just, you know, the loss in life that we're all dealing with, you know, as a result of this pandemic. So it multiple sources, I would say.
And you mentioned, Kali, about healing, a season of healing. I think a lot of us go through things that we need to confront, but we don't want to. Is poetry a way for you to confront some feelings?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I think that's where some of my most profound pieces have been birthed from, is just pain that I've gone through in my life. And I always say, there's a saying that says, if you want to heal it, first you have to feel it. And sometimes going through feelings can be a very scary thing, but it's necessary, you know, and it ends up being good for you as well as good for others.
You've not only entertained us with a heartfelt poem today, I know you've inspired many people out there. You know, what do you say to people that might be interested, you know, in the art form, but they're afraid, you know, they don't think they can be a poet? Is poetry for everybody? How do you get started?
I would say just start where you're at. You know, you're not getting a grade on this, so to speak. Just start from the heart, you know, be raw, be real, and be relevant, and watch what happens. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just take that leap, and it can be very healing to you. So I say go for it. I would recommend anyone to just go for it. And you grow. You know, the writing that I do today is nothing close to the writing that I did in the past. So it's a process.
Well, you blessed us with your poem. Thank you for entering. Congratulations on being the grand prize winner. We're going to share this poem as far and wide as we can. Kali, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Oh man, painting emotions. You could feel the anguish, the longing, the pain that she's going through there. Great performance by Kali. Kind of curious, Sean, to hear what you thought about Kali's poem.
Yeah, I 100% was in love with this poem, this performance of it. You know, there's two main, I think, points that it hit. I think growing bolder, you know, aging gracefully, like it comes with situations where you may, you know, you'll lose a spouse at some point. And so she was able to tap into what those emotions feel like. But then to the second point, the style that she did it in, using the seasons and the elements imagery throughout, I think was just a phenomenal way to articulate that, because it is a season in life, right? And yeah, she just the double entendres with fall and isolation, like that. There's like that was a very well thought out, well put performance piece that she put together, and I think that would just really benefit a lot of people to hear that and soak in it, especially if they're in a season like that, you know?
Soak in it, man. I think that's the right word. Sweet vanilla ice cream to my soul. I'm going to use that with my wife. I'm going to steal that and take credit for it, pretend I made it up. Congratulations to both Kali and Darlin, our other winners as well, and also to everyone out there that entered, because you are all winners because you exercised your creative muscle. And, you know, Bill, we see this all the time. Research proves that people who are creative are better problem solvers, and that means they're better able to adapt to the daily challenges of life. The good news is this: creativity is not a rare gift, folks. It's not a magical process. Creativity is part of human nature. It's one of our most important gifts. So don't ever think I'm not creative, because you are. And now, Bill, here's what I'm saying. We are posting all of the winners on our social media sites. So if you're not already a member of the GB Tribe, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, check out our content at Twitter, YouTube, and of course, growingbolder.com, because we have thousands of stories of ordinary people living extraordinary lives, and I think they will inspire you to do the same.
We're all looking to inspire each other, and those are the places to go to do just that. We want to say thanks again to Florida Blue Medicare for sponsoring this contest and celebrating the art and the fun of poetry. We appreciate our judges, Sean Welcome and Susan Lilly, for their help in selecting our winners. It wasn't easy, and for being here today. And special thanks to everyone who took the time to enter or even just watch to check out our Bold Poet Society Poetry Slam.
Yeah, whether you like to write it or speak it or even just read it, take the time, make the effort to add some poetry to your life, because in the words of the immortal Mary Oliver, pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. It's a simple formula that will work magic. We'll see you next time.